Now, in terms of universities and how you apply for university, we're going to go into a little bit more detail about that. Undergraduate courses, it's the same setup as the whole of the UK. We have this system called UCAS, which is what you use for all university applications in the United Kingdom. So that's the web address up there. So if anyone's interested in undergraduate study in the UK, for Scotland you would still use this system. Now it allows students to pick up to 5 universities to apply for. So you can look at a history programme and decide to apply to your 5 top choices in the UK that teach history. Each university will get a copy of that form sent to them. And we're not allowed to see who else you've applied to, so it's completely impartial. So all we know is that you've applied to us for history, and all we can do is make an offer on that basis and consider you for that. There are generic deadlines for certain courses on UCAS, which you should be aware of. So if anyone here is interested in medicine, dentistry, veterinary medicine, those courses throughout the UK have a deadline of the 15th of October. And that's the year before you're going to start the course. So if anyone's looking at next September, then the deadline, it's tomorrow or something, or yesterday, was it? Not good at the dates, forgive me. So you've got earlier deadlines for those courses, and some programs like law courses will have a deadline in the 15th of January. So on UCAS, that advice will be there about what courses have specific deadlines. Everything else for international students, the deadline is normally at the end of June, but we do recommend applying as early as possible because of visa processes. If you're going for scholarships, you'll normally have to apply for scholarship deadlines in April or May, so you need to kind of work back a few months to make sure you've already got an application to that university. It's very generic form, you put in your qualifications. The only thing that's a little bit tricky about it is there's a section called the personal statement. Now the personal statement is where you try and write about yourself and talk about how great you are and why the university should admit you to their programme. Now that's pretty straightforward, unless you're very modest. But you need to be careful that you don't mention a university name specifically in the personal statement, or a particular course that maybe another university you're applying to doesn't offer. So we're all going to read the same personal statement. So if you're applying to Glasgow for history, but you apply to Edinburgh for English, and you talk about history in your application, the person at Edinburgh is going to wonder why they've got an English application with you talking about history, Or you can't start talking about Queen Mary University and apply to Glasgow, and we're going to say, why is this person going on about Queen Mary? So you've got to just be careful to make it quite general so that it applies to all the institutions that you want to be considered for. Now, our undergraduate degrees are where Scotland is mainly different from the rest of the UK in terms of our higher education provision. So what we do is we have a 4-year course that we admit students to, and that's what you're looking at when you're going through UCAS. Our programmes allow you to actually take more than one subject in your first 2 years of study. So whereas in England, if you were applying for history, you would just study history when you started in England. In Scotland, you would do history, and then before the course started, we would ask you to pick additional subjects. And this is where it gets similar to the US system of doing minor subjects and major subjects. The difference with Scotland and the US system is that we wouldn't call them majors or minors. You're not going to be any more specialised in a subject by the end of first or second year. So this is an example of how things work at Glasgow, but this would pretty much be the same setup across Scotland. So we have someone who's applied for history. They can select subjects from a group of areas that we admit the student to. So it's normally to a faculty or to a college. So for history at Glasgow, you would also be admitted to the College of Arts. And we would say to you, there's a list of maybe 30 or 40 programmes. There's things like music courses, film studies, there's 9 different language programmes you can take. You would look through that list and pick whatever subjects you wanted to try for first year. So in this case, this person's gone for classics and archaeology, and they're quite related areas to history. So it's quite sensible, there'll be quite a lot of overlap between those areas. But this person could also have picked psychology and Russian if they'd wanted to, and started doing completely different subjects in first year.